Hey everybody, welcome to the Rugby Report. My name is Dwayne Burkhardt, and once again, for the third week in a row, you're going to watch me do this show today wearing these ultra cool shades, because for those who haven't caught the last two reports, I had emergency eye surgery recently, and while I'm doing much better, and in fact next week may actually be able to read stuff, we're still going to go with this and protect your vision as well as mine while we do the report this week. Let's start this week as we do every week with the NPC, the Bunnings NPC Cup, and we're going to start again by time traveling back into week 4. I promised I would never do this again, but I also know that you know that I was lying. We're going to go back to NPC. That's sad, isn't it? I know. What would really be sad is if I also had like a little K9 on my desk, right? That would be really, yeah, okay. So, anyway, back to week 4. The game that was this midweek game this past weekend, Wednesday night, Canterbury playing North Harbour. And Canterbury did win the game, giving me a 4-4 reputation for round number 4 and saving me to 20-10 overall. The game went pretty much as I thought it was going to go. North Harbour didn't play badly at all. I mean, if you watched the game, you saw them. They did cut it to only 8 early into the second half, and it looked like they were going to kind of make a game of it for a while. But then Canterbury got a penalty kick, got it back out to 11, and kind of controlled the game from there out. But the full-time score again, Canterbury 35, North Harbour 22, and that's it for round 4. Let's move quickly into round 5, which started on Friday night in Manawatu, where the hapless, helpless, and so far winless Turbos were taking on the Tasman Mako. Now, this game did go the way I predicted in that Tasman did win the game, but again, for Turbos fans, if you're looking for something to carry on with you, well, the Turbos scored more points than they have at any game this year. They scored 26 points. And they lost by the smallest margin that they have this year. And for the first time all year, they gave up less than 40 points. They did still lose the game. The full-time score was 36-26 to the Mako. But I'm going to tell you right now, the team that I really watched during this game and that I'm now concerned about isn't the Turbos. The Turbos have problems that we've all known and can all see all season long. But the Mako have a problem. The only two teams that the Mako have beaten this year are the two winless teams, and they've won those games by an average of 5.5 points. Now, folks, I want to be a Mako fan, but honestly, this team's in trouble. If the only teams you're beating are the winless teams and you're having trouble doing that, and you want to be a playoff team, well, you've got a lot of work to do in Tasman, and if I were in Blenheim or Picton, I would definitely be concerned at this point. Let's move on to Saturday's games. On Saturday, we started in Northland with a game that I thought was going to go a little bit differently. Now, in fairness to me, there was a reason I thought this was going to go differently. In fact, the last 16 times that Auckland has traveled up into Northland to face the Taniwha, Auckland has won 16 of those 16 games. In other words, they're 16-0 in their last 16 in Northland. And in fact, it looked at the end of the first half like they were going to do it again. Northland did very well in the first half. And then right before the half, Auckland scored twice. Now, I try to stay out of the officiating because generally speaking, I have a great deal of respect for the officials, and I try not to comment on on the job that they're doing. But at the end of the first half, right before Auckland's second score, there was a call which I have to admit I was with every single fan in the stadium on in wondering what it was that the official saw and called. And that call did lead directly to Auckland's second score right at the end of the first half. And you kind of hate to ever see a game turn on a call that you kind of feel is questionable, and you know everybody else did too. As it happens, that wasn't the case because Auckland came back in the second half and they won it. They squeaked it out 23-22, a pair of penalty kicks at the end, back and forth. Really exciting end to this game. But in the end, Northland with the stunner, they win for the first time in forever. They are now 1-16 in the last 17 games. Congratulations to the Northland Taniwha. They win the game 23-22. The next game on Saturday was in Taranaki, where the Bulls were taking on the Waikato Mumus, and I really thought that this game was going to be a little tighter than it was. Although, again, in the first half, it did seem to start that way. The Bulls played well. I don't think there was anything necessarily wrong with the way that they played. A couple of decent kicks there. The one right at the half was good. But frankly, Waikato, defending champions, they simply played too well. They won 21-6 was the full-time score. Not a lot to say about this game. Another game in kind of poor weather, but Waikato takes it as we thought they would, 21-6. The Bulls still searching for the kind of team that we thought that they would be earlier in the season. Finally, on Saturday, we travel all the way down to the bottom of the South Island, Invercargill, to, I think, frankly, one of the best winless teams I've ever seen in the NPC, the Southland Stags, taking on the Wellington Lions. Now, I called this game for the Lions. The Lions did win the game, but one more time. I've not seen a team with a 0-everything record, the way the Stags have this year, play as hard and as well as they do every single week. Never saying die, never giving up, lots of grit, lots of heart. The full-time score, Wellington 41, Southland 28, but the Stags never quit, and their fans have every reason to continue to support this team. They're just playing really good rugby, even though they haven't found a way to win a game yet. Again, Wellington 41, Southland 28. Great game to watch. I recommend it. Flow Sports if you got it here in the USA. Stan or Sky if you're down under. Now let's get to the action on Sunday. Sunday's action started in Canterbury, with Canterbury taking on the Hawke's Bay Magpies. Now, this game almost became an incredible stunner. Hawke's Bay led the game late, and Canterbury had to score in just the last few minutes to take the 32-28 lead. And even then, Hawke's Bay had a chance in extra time to win the game. And I have to say, the very last play of this game, which was a kick forward into Canterbury's hands and kicked it out, I didn't understand. But in the end, Canterbury holds on, and I do mean holds on at home. Hawke's Bay, now the last couple of weeks, definitely playing the kind of rugby that we thought they would play at the beginning of the season. Another team that looks to be making the postseason in a walk right now, but Canterbury pulls it out, 32-28, the full-time score. We move up from there, up the coast, to Otago, where Otago was hosting the Bay of Plenty Steamers. The Steamers still stinging from the week before. Otago, well, kind of the same thing. They come into this game, and frankly, this was a back-and-forth battle. I loved this game. This is another game that I think if you've got the chance to go on YouTube or wherever you get your NPC games from, go watch this game. From the very beginning, back and forth, I think the lead changed like at least 4 or 5 times. It would tie, one would take the lead, someone would tie, someone would go ahead. Just a really exciting game. Bay of Plenty continues to play this fast-moving, great, lots of passing, exciting offensive game. Otago, on the other hand, really a much better team than I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, and very likely at this point, in my opinion, going to be a playoff team. In the end, well, Bay of Plenty, Caleb Trask, couple of penalty kicks right there at the end to give them that 33-27 victory. It was what I predicted. My heart's always with you, Otago, but Bay of Plenty wins this game. But again, a really good game, and nothing that the folks in Otago should be hanging their heads about. Great game. Bay of Plenty wins it. Finally this week, North Harbour took on Counties Manukau in a game that I thought was actually going to be a little bit closer. But North Harbour has been playing better at home. This is their second home game where their offense has just been off the charts. And I'm going to make a prediction right here. Tavita Lee is going to be playing Super Rugby in this next season. There have been several plays, and the catch and try he made right before the half was a perfect example in this game where he's just playing lights out. And North Harbour's entire offense, very aggressive the whole game, really controlled it. It wasn't that Hohepa or anybody in counties played badly. They just were outplayed. They just simply had a better team playing against them. I don't think I, again, would hang my head if I were a Steelers fan. Good game, but North Harbor kind of controlled it start to finish, and they won the game 37-12. North Harbor wins it. Now, my record for the week, let's have a look at me through round 5. In round 5 so far, keeping in mind that I have a game coming up on Wednesday night, but right now, I am 6-1. Thank you very much. Yes, 6-1, much better. And I will say, now looking back at my predictions from last week, in fairness to me, I was only able to watch the right half of every game. So, it's a little eye surgery humor for you there. We'll just keep going. My record, 6-1 for the week. My overall record now, 26-11, and back where I'm a lot more comfortable. So let's look ahead at round 6. Round 6 will this week start. Where will it start? Well, actually, round 5 ends, if you will, because we have the midweek game again in Tasman, with Tasman taking on the Wellington Lions. And I haven't called this game yet, as I normally wait till the next week to call the Wednesday game. So I will tell you that on Wednesday night, I do think Wellington wins this game. Tasman, again, is having trouble. Until Tasman finds out a way to beat a winning team or a team that's won, well, I think you got to go with the Lions. The Lions played extremely well last week. Their game, not just with Perenera, not just with Savia, Garden Batchup, I mean, everybody on that team playing very well. The Wellington Lions, I think, win this game comfortably on Wednesday night. So let's start round 6. Friday night, we're going to go to what could be, if not the game of the week, maybe the game of the year so far, as Waikato will host Auckland. Again, my pick Friday night for the game of the week. Who do I think is going to win this game? Boy, you know what? Both teams playing very well. Both teams near the top of the table. Hard to call, but I think that Waikato is going to pull this out at home. I'm going to go with the home team here. The Moo-Moos win this game. Waikato over Auckland on Friday night. Saturday's action will start in Hawke's Bay, where the Magpies will host the Southland Stags. Southland continuing to play surprisingly good rugby for a team that hasn't won a game. Again, never giving up, never showing that that their heads are down the whole game. But in Hawke's Bay, against the Magpies, who have continued to improve their game almost every single week. I'm sorry again, Stags fans. You know I love you. But Hawke's Bay, the Magpies, are going to win this game. We move from Hawke's Bay up to North Harbor. North Harbor will host the Bay of Plenty. This is a game that's a little harder to call. North Harbor has defended their home field in their last 2 games very effectively. They've won in startling fashion with a strong offensive performance in both of those games. Bay of Plenty also has a very strong, effective, and frankly fun to watch offense. Those two are going to clash at North Harbor this weekend. Who do I think is going to come out on top? Boy, this is a close one. Could go either way, but I got to pick somebody. And frankly, again, the Steamers are just more fun to watch right now. So I'm going to go with Bay of Plenty. Bay of Plenty takes this game. Won't be surprised if it goes either way, but I'm going with the Steamers over North Harbor. Finally, on Saturday, we're going to travel down to Counties Manukau, where they're going to take on, well, the Turbos. The Manawatu Turbos are coming up to Counties, and frankly, again, folks, until the Turbos show that they can win a game, I got a call against them. So I'm going to say the Steelers win this game. I think the Steelers are playing much better rugby all year long than we thought they would, and certainly a team that may even make the postseason right now. The Turbos still looking for that first win, although again, against the Mako last week, they had their first respectable showing, I suppose you could say. But against Counties, I just don't see it. Counties will win this game, probably handily over the Turbos. Sunday's action is going to start in Tasman with the Mako taking on the Taranaki Bulls. Now, both of these teams haven't played quite at the level that I thought they were going to play at this year, but Tasman, as I noted, is in deeper trouble in my opinion, and the Bulls have shown that they can beat good teams. So if they can beat good teams, they should certainly be able to beat teams that are struggling, and the Mako are struggling. So I'm going to say Taranaki wins this game. They will beat the Mako at home this weekend. The next game is tough to call. I mean, really tough to call. We're going to go up to Wellington, where the Wellington Lions are going to take on Otago. Now, as you know, my heart's always with Otago, but I don't always pick them. But this game, Wellington has been playing, both teams have been playing very well. Wellington's playing well, Otago's playing well. Otago coming off of a tough loss. But you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say Otago is going to win this game. They're going to go into Wellington. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think they're going to find a way to win this game, and they're going to take down the Lions at home. Otago wins this game. Finally, on Sunday, we're going to travel down to Canterbury, where Canterbury is going to host the Northland Taniwha. Now, the Taniwha have just beaten Auckland at home for the first time in forever. Can they now go on the road and beat Canterbury? Well, they could. Wouldn't be the first time that Northland has surprised me this season, would it? But will they do it? In Orange Theory, against Canterbury, as well as Canterbury's playing right now, I'm sorry. The Taniwha, again, you could surprise me, but nope. I'm going with the home team right here. Canterbury's going to win this game. Round 6 is going to end on Wednesday night. Waikato is going to take on Southland. I won't call that game until next week. You probably can guess where I'm going to call it. But you know what? We'll wait till next time to do it, and that's how round 6 is going to end. Now, we're going to leave the NPC and go back to the Rugby Championship because, holy cow, once again, what a tremendous weekend. The weekend started in New Zealand at FMG Stadium, one of my favorite places to go and watch a rugby game, and I have been there, as you can see. But this weekend, New Zealand was playing Argentina, a team that beat them in New Zealand for the first time ever a week ago. Now, the last time, and the only other time that Argentina beat New Zealand followed up with a 38-0 thumping of the Pumas. Well, how did this game go? Well, it kind of went the way you thought it would. Which is to say, the All Blacks, who we have known and loved for so many years, finally showed up to one of these games and played the game that we knew they were capable of playing. If you saw their faces during the haka, if you saw them walk out onto the field, you knew this was a different All Blacks team, and they were frankly ticked. They were not happy. And they played the game angry. They played it with intensity. They played it with aggressiveness. They never stopped. They kept pushing. They pounded the Pumas into the ground for 80 minutes. From the opening whistle to the try in extra time, they never stopped. The full-time score, wait for it, New Zealand 53 to Argentina 3. So the All Blacks showing some signs of life finally in the Rugby Championship. The second game of the Rugby Championship this weekend takes us into Sydney to Allianz Stadium, where the Australian Wallabies took on the South African Springboks. The game last weekend in Adelaide was pretty unusual and pretty unpredictable. Neither team looking like themselves. Australia looked absolutely possessed. South Africa made a lot of unpredictable mistakes. This week, well, a little bit more predictable from both teams. Australia didn't play poorly by any stretch. South Africa definitely played better and played the game that they needed to play. The full-time score, South Africa 24, Australia 8. Again, it was a good game. There was a fight in the game that made it a little exciting for a moment, if you will. Yes, I think the fact that Taniela Tupou couldn't play maybe had an effect on the Wallabies psychologically, but ultimately in this game, South Africa played better. They needed the win. They got the win. Now, I want to look at the Rugby Championship table at this point because I want to point something out. We're 4 rounds into the championship, and maybe you can't see the graphic very well. I don't know. But all 4 teams are 2-2. On the table, 1 point separates all 4 teams. Folks, I don't know how it gets any closer than this. So the Rugby Championship this season, a lot of people are saying that, oh, this team is doing this and this team's doing that. You know what I think? I ultimately think you've got 4 teams that are really good and really well-matched teams playing each other and doing what you might predict, coming out at, so far, well, 500. Well, folks, that's all we've got this week. Reminder that next week, hopefully, I'll be able to read things again, and maybe I won't have the shades on, but we'll see. Want to thank everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, if it involves rugby and Fitz's root beer, I'm in. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Folks, I want to be a Mako fan. Did I just say that? Mako fan. I want to be a Mako fan. Okay, no, we're not going to do that. That'll be an outtake. Finally, on Saturday, we're going to go down to Counties Manukau. Manukau. You know what? One of these days, I'm going to get that team name right. We're going to try that one more time. It's Manukau. Whew. Sorry, Steelers fans. Taranaki is going to play a game. Let's just do that again. They're going to play a game. We think the game is going to be rugby. Could be cricket. You never know. They could show up in different kit. It's that time of year. You just don't know what's going to happen. Holding down the fort. The wart? You see, it's like a New Zealand thing where the W's are F's. It's not Tanawa, it's Tanafa. So instead of holding down the fort, I was kind of doing it reverse. They're holding down the wart. One more time. But I don't think that's going to happen. I still think Okay. One more time. Let's do that whole thing again, because they didn't look like each other. They shouldn't look like each other because they're wearing different uniforms. Right. One more time. Okay.